Okay, the word area has been popping up a lot, and I just want to make sure you guys understand what that means. Area means how many of these little inch squares can fit inside of a shape. So I think with the time we have, we can talk about that in this rectangle. It's very simple. Let's say this rectangle has two dimensions. The length on both sides is 8. And then the height of it, let's call it 4. What these numbers that I wrote mean is this. 4 is how tall it is. And it also tells you how many rows there are. There are 4 rows in this rectangle. And then the 8 means how many columns. So there's 2, now there's 4, and if I cut every single one of these in half, we'll have 8 columns. Imagine though if my cuts were perfect. And then every square I made in here was truly 1 inch on every side. Because of my imperfection. It is what it is. How many of these little squares are there inside of the rectangle? 32. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 8, 8. 8 times 4 is 32. I have 32 square inches in here. That is the area of that rectangle. Likewise, I figure, I can cut that triangle in half, okay? And to figure out the area of a triangle is half times the base and then the height. But if I were to cut this triangle, let's say the bottom is 4, the base is 4, and let's say the height is 8. That would mean, okay, I need to have 4 like this, and then I need to have 8 across. But some of these shapes are not perfect squares. They're like slanted and diagonal and jacked up, right? So rather than counting every single square like I did in this rectangle, for the triangle I'm going to use this formula, half times base times height. Half of the base times the height is half of 32. Half of 32 is 16. So our triangle, this one, is 16 inches squared. That's how many are inside of the triangle. And it gets even harder with circles. If I wanted to figure how many little squares are inside this circle, along the edges we're going to have some imperfect shapes, rounded edges and corners, right? And so rather than, drawing up a grid, there's a formula that we use in math. You take pi, times it by r, and then times it by r again. The r squared means you take that r and you times it by r again. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. Right here. The r squared is this. It's not 2 times r. 2 times r is diameter. R squared is part of the area part.